News for your health and well-being now, and a new study is predicting that a global child obesity epidemic is coming in the next 4 years. That study was published by the International Journal of Pediatric Obesity, and it finds that by the year 2010, half of the kids in North and South America will be overweight. Half, or overweight, I should say. Joining us now in Studio B is pediatrician Dr. Jamie Wells. Half of them.
Half.
That sounds like a lot of noise.
And what they found in this study is that it is significantly increasing in pretty much all of the countries that they reviewed reports on. So we're talking about 42 different countries worldwide, and nearly all of them showed escalating rates of being overweight or future obesity.
The Surgeon General says this problem is worse than the considerations of terror. Why is it happening?
It's happening for a multitude of reasons. We are living a sedentary lifestyle. Television is influencing the availability of junk foods and their appeal for children worldwide, and that's happening in countries that previously were isolated from this kind of marketing madness, I guess you could call it. But families who are obese have children who are obese. Women who are entering pregnancy obese are at greater risk of having gestational diabetes. So their babies are at greater risk of developing future obesity and diabetes as well. But this study showed that 1 in 5 children in China by 2010 will be at risk for being overweight, up from 25% in the European Union to 38% children in the European Union will be obese. And so it's a real problem, and I think it needs to be dealt with in a multidisciplinary fashion.
Well, because you talk about those different places. I mean, talk about worldly different kinds of lifestyles across those places. I mean, the difference of lifestyle in France, China, and the United States, yet all of them are having the same problem. It sounds like there might be something that we don't yet understand here.
Well, they talk about in this study that there are Western world influences with regard to sugar-enriched products, things like that.
Processed food.
Processed foods. I mean, there are hormones injected into a lot of the foods, so we're seeing the earliest acceptable age for menstruation for girls is now 8.5 in this country, which is dramatically lower than it was.
Just a few decades ago, if a child were menstruating at 8.5 years old, they would say that she has some sort of serious problem that needs attention.
You would work her up for precocious puberty. So we're seeing that dramatically increased in this country, the lower
What do we do? What do we do about this? Do we just not let kids eat as much refined sugar and processed foods, or?
Well, I think the problem is once the children are able to select for themselves, you're too late. So once they're able to do that, it has to be a family issue.
And a lot of that is about placement in supermarkets and advertising inside the television box.
Right. Product placement is one of the worst problems, I think, in this country. The cheapest foods are normally at the eye level. They also are the junkiest foods, if that's a word even.
Well, no, that is. You know, and you think about it, 20, 30, however many years ago, Mommy and Daddy didn't both work.
Right.
Mommy was often home cooking for you. Now Mommy and Daddy are working. They got to do whatever's quickest and easiest just to keep the family going, and it's often those foods, right?
Well,
I guess the problem is bigger than one thing.
It is. I mean, it has to be in the schools. They need to change the curriculum in medicine. I mean, how many doctors do you see who aren't the healthiest people in the world?
Yeah,
6 weeks of 4 years of medical school is pretty much what most medical schools have dedicated to nutrition.
But if you're a mom listening to this right now, or mom or a dad or whoever takes care of the kid, a good start is not so much refined sugar and not so much processed food.
Right, not so much processed food. Maybe get the children involved in cooking and things, make it a family event, make activity a part of an activity of daily living, reduce the sugar intake, and really has to start in the families.
Fruits, vegetables.
Fruits,
Not
vegetables.
so much processed.
But
it's Cavuto's turn. Business. It's coming. Great to see you.
Nice to see you.
Back in a minute.